According to ESPN, the New Orleans Pelicans have decided to trade Larry Nance Jr. and second-year guard Dyson Daniels and a 2025 first-round pick via the Los Angeles Lakers than the least favorable of a 2027 first-round pick from either the Bucks or the Pelicans to Atlanta for the 27-year-old Murray, who just completed his second season in Atlanta. Now, so the Pelicans, they didn't really give up that much to get him, to be honest. Larry Nance, he's a solid role player. Granted, I felt this year was probably his worst season since his rookie year. Dyson Daniels, he's a young player that they drafted a few years ago, the Pelicans, with the 8th pick. He hasn't put up amazing numbers or anything, but he's still young. Maybe he'll break out in another year or two and become a good player. There's still some time for him to develop, but when you look at their numbers and stats, they didn't really give up anything. And then one of the picks they gave up is just the Lakers pick they got in the Anthony Davis trade. So that's not really much. It was this extra draft capital they gave up, and then they're giving up potentially either their pick or the Bucks pick that they got in a trade. So they did pretty well in this trade, I felt. They didn't have to give up much to get Dejounte. What's interesting is the Hawks gave up a lot to get Dejounte originally from the Spurs. They gave up a few draft picks. It's evident now that they lost that trade with the Spurs a few years ago. The backcourt of Trey Murphy and Dejounte Murray never worked out. I thought it was always going to fail, to be honest, because both together are undersized. Now, Dejounte's tall for a point guard, but when you pair him up with a guy who's like probably 5'10", 5'11 at best, and Trey Young, then you're going to have an undersized backcourt, and it becomes a defensive liability because Dejounte has to cover for both positions, considering Trey's defense is garbage. So it was always going to be a lose-lose the way they had constructed that team. There was just no way they were going to succeed. I guess they thought maybe adding Dejounte because he was a legit all-star a few years back, that it would have given them star power and propelled them to elite status, but it was never going to happen. Just the way the team was constructed, I don't think Murray and Young were good complements to each other. It just was never going to work out. That was a failure on their part, and they paid the price ultimately for that failure. Granted, they were able to get 2 picks back from the Pelicans in this trade and 2 decent players, I would say, in Daniels and Nance. Daniels might pay off. Nance is not going to get any better. He's going to probably decline. So I would say the Pelicans won this trade. Just the Pelicans really won this trade in the sense that they didn't have to give up much to get Murray, and they got the better player in this trade. Now it's interesting when you look at the Pelicans team, their makeup. They have Murray starting at the 1. I can picture that. You have, I guess, Brandon Ingram and Trey Murphy starting at the 2 and 3 slot. Zion at the power forward. Their center, that's yet to be seen. Maybe they'll resign Valanciunas. Maybe they won't. But they really need a center, I think, in the worst way now. They also need a little bit more depth when it comes to their big men. I think they're definitely lacking that. They're undersized. They got to add at least, I think, 2 more solid bigs off their bench. And then they should be an interesting team to pay attention to. Granted, I feel all this hinges on Zion Williamson. Will he get it together this year? Will he finally be healthy enough to make a difference? Will he finally be in shape? That's what it really comes down to. If he doesn't care, then all these moves are just for nothing. They don't mean nothing. I think this upcoming season, the Pelicans really need to do some soul searching in the sense that if Zion gets hurt again and he's out of shape, then they should trade him. Because is it really worth it to keep this guy when he's just going to be a part-time player and just not take this seriously? I don't think it's worth it to keep him. So they have to really monitor the situation the upcoming season and see if it's going to be the right thing going forward to keep Zion long term. I think this is a pivotal moment in Zion's career this upcoming season. If he can't stay healthy this upcoming season, then I don't think you can ever take him seriously. that he's never going to be a legit great player. It's just not going to happen to him. This is a crucial stretch. I feel this is kind of like a make or break year for his legacy, in the sense that I think it's going to be downhill after this upcoming season if he doesn't get it together. That's how I feel about this.